Yeah, I did. I got it, Mike. I just was. Mags makes fun of me because I've got. Normally I have 5 monitors here. Tonight I have 5 monitors plus 1 laptop. And when you get sound coming out and 4 avatars logged in, you get extra sound coming from somewhere. Where's that coming from? Anyway, enough of that. I hope that Saylee can hear us now. We gotta get rolling. She does good. So let's get that on the go. So, if for some reason you'd like to read along with this, the full text is in the note card we sent out this morning. Ask if you didn't get one and you want one. Oh, gotta start one more little bitchy bot. There it goes. The technical term. Of course, there might be a few embellishments on the fly. A couple of quick notes before we get started. Yes, this is a true story. Yes, there was a movie, and yes, the real people in the song played themselves in that movie. Pretty neat, huh? Also, in 2015 interview, just before the 50th anniversary tour of Alice's Restaurant, Arlo mentioned that he was partly inspired to write this song in the manner of Lord Buckley and Bill Cosby. Now, many of us here know Lord Buckley from the story song God's Own Drunk, or maybe know the Jimmy Buffett version. If you don't, you should Google him after the session. He's worth it. You can check out Lord Buckley's version of The Raven at the Raven's Chamber here in October World. But later. Arlo also mentioned that the melody and finger picking is essentially an African 6-string style he picked up from music players at the Gaslight Theater on McDougal Street in New York growing up, with additional inspirations from his close friend Pete Seeger. Arlo and Pete made Midnight Special together. Pete was in turn greatly inspired by Woody Guthrie, Arlo's daddy. His songs included Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Turn, 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 and, well, many more. Now, you'd think, after 50 years, that Arlo would have the story memorized line for line. But Arlo said that though he, of course, remembers the events as they actually happened, I mean, he was there after all, right? He would have to kind of learn the song all over before performing on tour because, delivery is so important. Anyway, just some fun stuff I thought you might like to know. So, start your stopwatches for 18 and a half minutes, and here we go. Sounds like some of you have heard this one before. I know I have. That's because this song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant was never the name of the restaurant. That was always just the name of this song, which is probably why we still call this song Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Well, it all started 57 years ago, 57 Thanksgivings ago, 57 years ago on Thanksgiving when me and my friend decided to go up to visit Alice in the restaurant. But Alice didn't used to live in the restaurant. She used to live in the church nearby the restaurant, in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Fasha the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they got a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And having all that room, seeing as how they took out all the pews, they decided they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. Boy, talk about pews. When we got up there, we found all the garbage in there, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the city dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, we put it in the back of a red VW microbus, we took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and we headed on toward the town dump. Right, we got there, and there was a big sign, a chain across the dump saying, "Closed on Thanksgiving." We never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before, and with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset looking for another place to put the garbage. We didn't find one until we came to a side road, and off the side of the side road there was a 15-foot cliff. And at the bottom of the cliff there was another pile of garbage. And decided that one big pile is better than two little piles, and rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Then we drove back to the church and had "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of about a half a ton of garbage and just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obie. I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." Well, after speaking to Obie for about 45 minutes on the telephone, we finally arrived at the truth of the matter, and he said we had to go down and pick up the garbage, and also had to go down and speak to him at the police officer station. So we got in the red VW microbus with the shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and we headed on towards the police officer station. Now, friends, there was only one or two things that Obie could have done at the police station, and the first was he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. The other thing was he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility that we had not even counted upon, and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, "Obie, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car." And that's what we did. We sat in the back of the patrol car and we drove to the, quote, "scene of the crime," unquote. Now, I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this happened here. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, 1 police car. But when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers, 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in the newspaper story about it. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster, tire tracks, footprints, dog smell prints. They took 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. They took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial drone photography. After the ordeal, we went back to jail. Obie said he's going to put us in the cell. Said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in the cell. I want your wallet and your belt." And I said, "Obie, I can understand you wanting my wallet, so I don't have any money to spend in the cell. What do you want my belt for?" And he said, "Kid, we don't want any hangings." And I said, "Obie, did you think I was going to hang myself for littering?" Well, Obie said he was making sure, and friends, Obie was, 'cause he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. He took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the toilet paper out the window, slide down the roll, and have an escape. And Obie was making sure, and it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? It's a song about Alice. Alice came by, and with a few nasty words to Obie on the side, he bailed us out of jail, went back to church, and we had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and we didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down, and Obie came in with the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. Man came in and said, "All rise." We all stood up, and Obie stood up with the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures. And the judge walked in and sat down with the seeing eye dog. And when he sat down, we sat down. Obie looked at the seeing eye dog, and then at the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and looked at the seeing eye dog. And then the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and began to cry because Obie came to the realization that it was a typical case of American blind justice and there wasn't nothing he could do about it. And the judge wasn't going to look at the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with circles and arrows. and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And we was fined $50 and had to pick up the garbage in the snow. Of course, that's not what I come to talk about, just thought I'd mention it. Came to talk about the draft. Now, for those who can't remember, weren't there, back in those days, they used to have a thing called the selective service system, which meant that when you was a guy and you turned 18, you had to register with the selective service so that you could select some kind of service that might be of interest to you. If your choice was none of the above, they would help you by making a selection for you. And to do that, they had buildings all around America, and one down in New York on Whitehall Street where you walk in. You get injected, inspected, detected, inflected, neglected, and selected. Well, I went down to my physical examination one day, and I walked in. I sat down. I got good and drunk the night before, so I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning. Because I wanted to look like the old American kid from New York City. Man, I wanted to feel like I wanted to be the old American kid from New York. And I walked in, I sat down, I was hung down, brung down, hung up at all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I walked in and I sat down, and they gave me a piece of paper and said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. I went up there and I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth, eat dead, burnt bodies. Kill. And I started jumping up and down, yelling, kill. And he started jumping up and down with me, and we was both jumping up and down, yelling, kill. And the sergeant came over and pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall and said, "You're our boy." And I didn't feel too good about it. But I proceeded on down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all kinds of stuff that they was doing to me at the thing there. And I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and I was just having a tough time there. And they was inspecting, injecting every single part of me. They was leaving no part untouched. Now, I want to tell you how smart I really am, though, friends, because I went to take the written test there. Now, they sit you down, they give you a pen, a piece of paper, and you got to find out which picture matches some other picture. I want to tell you, I didn't even look at the pictures. I didn't even read the questions. I just started writing off the answers, and I passed the test. That's when I knew I was really smart, psychic. It was about this time I was getting really upset, worried, and all kinds of things, because, well, I thought they was going to take me. So I went up to one guy and I said, "How come you're passing me, man?" I said, "I'm a drag. I don't look good. I don't feel good. I ain't no good." And he said, "Kid, we could pass a dead cow through here." Anyways, I proceeded on through, and after 8 hours of being in there, I finally came to see the last man. I walked in, sat down, and after the whole big thing there, I walked up and I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Kid, we only got one more question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of Alice's Restaurant Massacre with full orchestration, 5-part harmony and stuff like that, and all the phenomena. He stopped me right there and said, "Kid, did you ever go to court?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. He stopped me right there and said, "Kid, I want you to go and sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid." And I walked over to the bench there. There is a Group W is where they put you if you may not be moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench there. Loud cell phone talkers, porch pirates, Twitter fact checkers sitting right there on the bench next to me. And they was mean and nasty and ugly and horrible crime type guys sitting on the bench next to me. And the meanest, the ugliest, and the nastiest one, the meanest Twitter fact checker of them all was coming over to me. And he was mean and ugly and nasty and horrible and all kinds of things. And he sat down and he said, "Kid, what'd you get?" And I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage." He said, "What were you arrested for, kid?" And I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me on the bench there and gave me the hairy eyeball and all kinds of mean, nasty things till I said, "And creating a nuisance." And they all came back and shook my hand. We had a great time on the bench there talking about major crimes, gum snapping, cheese filching, all kinds of groovy things that we was talking about on the bench. And everything was fine. And we was smoking cigarettes and counting flowers on the wall and all kinds of things. And till the sergeant came over and had some paper in his hand, held it up and said, "Kids, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 sentences, 58 lines. We want to know the details of the crime, the time of the crime, any other kind of thing you got to say pertaining to and about the crime. I want to know the arresting officer's name, judge's name, breed of the C&I dog, whether you had turkey or ham or fish or Thanksgiving dinner, or you went totally vegan, and did you get home delivery or curbside pickup, and any other kind of thing you got to say." And he talked on for 45 minutes, and nobody understood a word that he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. And I filled out the massacre with the 4-part harmony and I wrote it down there just like it was. And everything was fine. And I put down the pencil and I turned over the piece of paper. And there on the other side, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, in parentheses, capital letters, underlined, quotated, read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant and I said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I mean that just, I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids, houses, and villages after being a litter bug." He looked at me and said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington." Friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in some little folder, is a study in black and white of my fingerprints. They're still there. They've been there 50 freaking years. And I'm not the only one. They've been adding to the collection recently. So the only reason I'm singing you this song now is because you may know somebody in a similar collection. Even some of you could be in a collection like that. Sometime sooner than you're sitting here thinking about right now. And if you ever find yourself in a collection like that and you don't know what to do, well, there may be only one thing there may not actually be a hell of a lot you can do at all. But there's something you can try. And that's to be wherever it is you're supposed to be, just wherever you are, stop, take a moment, and go something like this. You just say, "You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant." That's it. Just a couple of bars, Alice's Restaurant, wherever you are. Now imagine one person, probably not worth adding to the collection, but imagine 2 of them walking in hand, singing in harmony. Or 3 of them, or 50, or maybe 50,000, or maybe, thousands and thousands of people all over the country, wherever they are, stopping whatever they're doing, singing a few bars at Alice's Restaurant. Yeah, I bet it could be worth collecting then. Not only that, when you get enough people singing along to a song, even people collecting all that information on everybody else, well, even they might join on in. When you get a song worth joining in on, no matter who you are, what side of the aisle you come from, or whatever you're thinking about, it becomes what we used to call a movement. Now, one of these days, somebody's going to write a song like that. It's not this one. But while we're waiting for that song to get wrote, we can practice on the one we got. It's not all that hard. Some of you know it already. We'll wait for it to come around on the guitar here and sing it when it does. With feeling. We're just waiting for it to come around. Here it comes. Here it comes. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. No, that was horrible. You would have thought after all this time you'd have learned by now. If you want to end war and stuff, you want to be worth getting your fingerprints collected, you got to sing loud all the time so people can hear you. You can't just come in at the end there when I get quiet. Now, I know this is a long song, believe me. I know how long it is. Even on the record, when it come out, it was pretty long. 18 minutes, like I said, or something. And I'm not sitting here trying to make it any longer, but I can feel it. I know there's people sitting in this very room this morning that don't believe that songs can change the world, or that songs can change the destiny of nations. I don't blame you. I wouldn't have thought so myself. Of course, I know something that some of you may not know. But back in 1979, when Jimmy Carter was elected president, I got an invitation to his inauguration. I knew I had to go because I knew it'd be the only one I ever got. Been right so far. But I went down to Washington, D.C. Now, I ain't making this up now. This is real. I went down to Washington, and it's just like you see on TV. People partying and stuff, and everything was fine until long toward evening. Somebody come around, tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around. It was Chip Carter, the president's son. I said, "Hi, Chip." I recognized him. He's about my age. He said, "Arlo, I've been looking everywhere for you, man." I said, "Chip, how come?" He said, "Arlo, I've got something very important to tell you." And I said, "Chip, what is it?" He said, "Arlo, we were moving our stuff into the White House, and in the Nixon record library, we found a copy of your record, Alice's Restaurant." I looked at Chip Carter. I looked deep into the man's soul, and I said, "Chip, was it opened?" And in slow motion, he nodded. Yes, it had been opened. Now, I want you folks to know that I did not think about that for a long time, until sometime later when we was all thinking about Richard Nixon when he passed away. And well, yeah, I see some of the people here may not know. See, Richard Nixon, he was the president of the United States. He used to like to tape stuff. I mean, if you can imagine a world before iPhones and TikTok and cameras was everywhere, you could imagine a man who was truly ahead of his time. He taped everything that went on in the White House. Everything was fine until one day they started playing back the tapes. People found out what was going on in there. But it wasn't anything that was on any tape that got the man in trouble so much as it was what he had erased from the tapes. And there was one particular famous gap in one of those tapes that I was thinking about one night when I said to myself, "Arlo, how many things in the world are 18 minutes and 28 seconds long?" Well, I ask you, how many things in the world are exactly 18 minutes and 28 seconds long? Probably just a coincidence, but it's good enough for me. So when the song comes around on the guitar, remember that songs can change the destinies of nations, even if it's only by coincidence. You just have to know the words, have the feeling, and wait for it to come around on the guitar. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant, except in Alice. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. So walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant, da-da-da-da-da-dum, at Alice's Restaurant. Ba-dum-bum-ba. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hope you're having a great time. And hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Now, for those of us here in the... Wow, look at everybody. Everybody here in the church here in Kitely October World. Hang on just a half a second, and I'll get you... I'll have you... Don't stand up yet. No, you can stand up. But hang on a second. We'll get you a teleporter over to the sim for the parade. Okay, here you go. You're going to show up at a landing point, and you have to walk through a sign that says parade this way. So if I did it right, you're all gone. Let's see. How'd we do? Well, as soon as you stand up, you should be teleported over there. And here in
In the meadow we can build this snowman and pretend that he's Parson Brown. He'll say, I ain't married, we'll say no man, but you can do the job while you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland. I said I walk in a winter wonderland. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. We hope you're enjoying all the beautiful floats that you've seen and all the effort that everybody's put in to make this. So a big round of applause for them all. It took a lot of doing. So big congratulations and big thanks to them. We're going to do one more song for you, and then we're going to mosey on, and we're going to do another song, playing another town. We hope you'll be around. You all take care. This clan will see you there. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the tree tops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. May your days be days, be days, be merry and bright. And may all your Christmases be white. And may all your Christmases be white. And may all your Christmases